Mastercard has acquired CipherTrace in a surprise deal that was announced today. Now, this gives the payments company the ability to track over 900 cryptocurrencies through the crypto analytics firm. In a press release, Mastercard president of Cyber and Intelligence, Ajay Bala, said, with the rapid growth of the digital asset ecosystem comes the need to ensure it is trusted and safe. Our aim is to build upon the complementary capabilities of Mastercard and CipherTrace to do just this. So, Naomi, I have a question for you. The press release points towards security and trust as a critical enabler here. And are firms like CipherTrace the ones to bring that trust to customers when we talk about mainstream adoption in the crypto space?
No. Let's dig into that. So it's interesting that generally, companies like Mastercard, it's fascinating to look at their privacy security measures because traditionally with credit cards, you have this pull system where if anyone has your credit card number, they can literally just pull money out of your account. You don't have to approve it. Like it's this very weird system and we just kind of trust people with these numbers that we throw out there. So Mastercard and, credit card companies, they are incredible at figuring out fraud. Like I went to this privacy exhibition in San Francisco start of last year, I think. And it was fascinating. Like they will tell, like, is your mouse moving on the screen faster than it usually is? Suggesting that it's a different person using it. Like, where are your eyes looking? They're like accessing cameras. There's like, if you're scrolling through an app, how fast are you doing? How is your phone tilted? Is that the usual tilt? So they're incredible at like deciphering like whether or not there's fraud going on. Now, the difference between that and crypto is that you can't pull money from anyone's account. It is a push system, meaning that you as the individual have to approve every single transaction. That means that you can't have recurring payments. You can't have anything like that. So the fact that Mastercard, with its amazing sleuthing ability, is now saying, well, it's going to help us with trust and security of the system, I think crypto is already pretty secure because it is a push system. This seems more like it's going to be great for governments to keep track of payments. It's going to be great for the IRS to keep track of payments. And that seems to be more in line with what this is. It's going to be great for them, being compliant with AML rules, KYC rules, all of that, and being able to follow money around. I don't see this as protecting consumers, though. It's protecting the status quo, it's protecting other things, but I don't see it as protecting consumers. So that would be my take there, but I'll throw it to you, Will.
Yeah, so in my prior reporting, I've seen that there are always like systems in place for kind of checking out where cryptocurrency has been beforehand. So if you're moving from cryptocurrency to dollars or dollars to cryptocurrency, there's checks in place. Those already exist, and most brokers have it in this instance already. So it's not surprising to see Mastercard do something like that. Just to kind of like jump in the bandwagon with this. What was surprising to me was where it comes into the cycle. Like I wouldn't have thought that this would have come about like for another year or two, but it seems to me that bigger corporations are taking this very seriously, and they don't have an interest in waiting around. Like CipherTrace just closed on a $2 billion valuation after another series. So they're a pretty large firm at this point, and Mastercard says, hey, we want to get you before this cycle gets any larger. Zach, throw it to you.
Dude, I can't
was
pass
it
up an opportunity to
CipherTrace?
fact check you. Jen,
oh, okay.
let me
Go for it, Zach.
It was chain analysis, all right? It was chain analysis at $2 billion, okay? No way.
Oh,
no,
shoot.
But watch out. Anyway, so CipherTrace did raise a big
Zach's
round, 27 million, led by a big time investor. And there was just sort of this little bumper crop of like major funding rounds for crypto sleuthing firms earlier this year. And again, it just points to this idea that like the people who use these services, which are basically banks and governments, like it's boom times for them to be able to track illicit and nefarious payments. So you think about seems distant right now, but the Colonial Pipeline, Bitcoin ransomware, all that stuff sort of kickstarted this like hyperdrive of like attention to these firms that, oh, okay, cool. We can turn to these firms to help us understand where these illicit funds are going, and we can sort of mitigate those losses and potentially prevent them down the road. So this to me is sort of a continuation of that moment, right? Where all of a sudden everyone is paying attention to these, blockchain sleuthing firms, as we've called them for a number of years. And this acquisition to me is a huge surprise because I wouldn't have bet that Mastercard would be in the buying end of this deal, and that's super fascinating to me as they think about bringing crypto payments onto their network interesting piece of the puzzle. I'm going to toss it back to Naomi for her final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, the Colonial Pipeline tie-in, I would have said that sure, CipherTrace, companies like that are great if they were this independent contractor that is hired perhaps by law enforcement to track down bad players like that. It's literally been acquired by a credit card company. You know, they're not tracking down the people who were the perpetrators of the Colonial Pipeline hack. They are not law enforcement. They're not going to be contracted to do that stuff. This is all about, you know, following individual consumer payments. And, you know, it just, for me, that's not going after the really bad players. That's like using this tool to just kind of get more tax revenue and all of that. That's my cynical take on this. But, you know, CipherTrace, if it were this independent, as I said, contractor, and that was sort of their area, I'd probably look at them more favorably. But as it turns out, you know, they're just being used by different government agencies to track the purchases of all of these innocent people who are not doing anything wrong. And I just believe in the fundamental right to financial privacy, not mass surveillance of all of our finances. So I can't be happy about this acquisition. But Zach, I'll throw it to you for final thoughts.
Yeah, just last quick thought. I mean, I think we're going to try to find out more information here as to whether or not sort of CipherTrace will continue servicing the clients that it already services under the Mastercard umbrella, because that could be really interesting as well.